Welcome back. Dallas. Yep, we're up to number 13, Dallas. I really want to do a Casey Kasem voice. I don't have it. Anyways, or at least Rick Springfield or something. Anyways, number 13 is Dallas. And in terms of the overall points from 2017, 2018 until now, Dallas is 13th at 596. It's interesting to me that almost a 600 points percentage doesn't get you into the top 10. Just showing how the points with those 3-point games, with that overtime and shootout loss point, it really drags up those points percentages. But when we look at this chart, you can see how Dallas has been all over the place. And that really does encapsulate how from one game to the next, you may never know what you're going to get with them. They did go to the Stanley Cup final in 2020. It was unexpected when they did. And since then, they've been trying to get back there. They've been close. They haven't quite got back there yet. So 2019-2020 was the best of the first 3 seasons that I did power rankings, where they ended with an average of 14.22. This year's been their best average at 7.6. So Dallas this year, I think, having the best year they've had. That being said, in terms of top row appearances, 30 of those. 70 appearances in the second row, 50 appearances in the third row, 7 appearances in the bottom. 7. Just 7 times Dallas has been in the bottom row in the power rankings. So they've had a pretty good run. They've had a pretty good run. They've been a playoff team for the most part. There have been a couple of rough seasons, but in general, it's been a fun run. Now, currently, they are 10th on the power rankings. Again, currently meaning January 20th, when I last did power rankings. 10th, and again, when you're watching this, you'll have already seen the January 27th ones, but I'm using January 20th. Imagine if I just split these, where January 27th suddenly shows up in the top 10. Throws the whole thing off. Anyways, Jamie Benn's been their leading scorer from 2017-2018 till now, which is not a surprise. 493 games for the captain, 152 goals, 206 assists, 358 points. Ben is no longer the offensive dynamo he was in his younger years, but he plays a physical game. He still chips in with goals. He still provides leadership. Yes, there were question marks coming out of last year's playoffs, but Jamie Benn generally has had a decent year. Not the same year he had last year, but he's had a decent season. Of course, at some point, Jason Robertson will be the top scorer when I'm looking back over a 5 or 6 year period, but we're not there yet. So the Stars, a team that has some good scoring depth, pretty good everywhere, and in net, Jake Ottinger is the leader. 93, 43, and 21 record, 914 save percentage. But I'm going to say this, and it hurts me to say it because I have an Ottinger jersey. I do think he gets overrated at times. I think Ottinger's a really good goaltender, and he can be great. But I think at times he does get a bit overrated. He does have his rough games. He usually bounces back and has really good games after, but he does have some rough games. So their last playoff appearance was this past season, 2023. That gets a lot easier with these videos as we go higher up too. Their need. I think they could use some more depth. Because, coming up to the deadline, everybody's looking for depth. I think especially on the blue line, they could use a bit of depth. In net, they're pretty much set. And up front, it's hard to find a weakness up front. I really wish they hadn't lost Luke Glendening in this past offseason. Tampa, be nice to him. But yeah, they're a pretty solid team all around. Pavelski is playing some of the best hockey he has in his entire career with Dallas. We did not see that coming. If I had said when he went to Dallas, I think he's going to get better as he gets older, people would be like, well, Shannon's been drinking and he doesn't drink. So the consistent goaltending I have up here is a need. And it may seem like nitpicking, but if you look at Ottinger, if you look at his quality starts numbers, you can see that there's room for improvement there. And I do think he will improve. Ottinger's still a young goaltender. They've taken their time with him to develop him. And Wedgwood deserves some credit too. While Ottinger was out, Wedgwood played well enough that they won some games there. They also won games without Heiskanen in the lineup, and Harley's become quite the player. The good thing too with Dallas, the reason why I think this run by Dallas is sustainable, a lot of the players who are playing quite well for them, guys like Johnston and Robertson and others, and Hintz, they're not old. Like, they're younger players. So even though Sagan and Ben might be a little bit long in the tooth by NHL standards, and sure, at some point their career's winding down, they're going to probably end up getting moved or, whatever ends up happening, or when they re-sign, it'll be for less money. But there's a really good supporting cast, really good young players. Of course, Heiskanen's not an old player. Harley's not an old player either. A lot of reason for optimism when it comes to the Dallas Stars. Now, the question becomes one of, can they win a Stanley Cup? And I want to say yes on that one. I do. I do have some mild concerns overall, but I think they're right in the mix. It could come down to who ends up with home ice in the 2-3 matchup if they end up 2-3. Them against the Jets, I kind of like their chances against the Jets. Don't tell my wife. I don't really like their chances against Colorado, but I don't know if I like the Jets' chances against Colorado in the playoffs either. They're kind of ridiculous right now. But I do think Dallas, if they can play a good, solid defensive style, and if Ottinger can, he doesn't have to be as good as he was against Calgary in that first round matchup a couple years ago, but he has to be near that level for Dallas to win a Stanley Cup. I think he has that in him. I don't know whether or not we see it this year, as I'm not a soothsayer. I don't have powers to see the future. Wish I did. That'd make things a lot better. And man, I'd be playing the lottery every week. They tell me to go away. But when we look at the overall numbers, they're good. Their overall average being 14.5, so they're usually in the top half of the board, which means they're usually sitting in a playoff spot. I really can't complain about that, can I? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Can the Stars win a Stanley Cup? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event that you've forgotten to hit those buttons. I forgive you, but go ahead and give it a shot. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.